Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Zulaikha Binti Nizam from DHI 6B. So for this individual presentation, I would like to present about the non-conformities that I found during the internal halal audit for Chinese demand. The category of the non-conformities, the causa that related to the non-conformities, root cause, and also correction or corrective action that have to be taken. So for the first non-conformance that I found during the halal internal audit are finished products that are not placed in their designated location. So, for this non-conformance, the category was minor, while the clause related to the non-conformant is MPPHM Domestic 2020 Clause 17 4D that mention all the products and material need to be stored by the nature of the products. And also MPPHM Domestic 2020 Clause 17 6F that mention the labeling on the packaging need to be print clearly and not easily to be erased. So the root cause for this non-conformance was people. So these non-conformance have to take correction immediately. So for the corrective action, first, the finished products without labels were properly labeled and transferred to the designated storage area. And next, retraining was provided to the employee involved on proper labeling and storage procedures for finished products. Other than that, we also find a dot in the processing area. So the category of the non-conformant was serious Sharia non-conformance. So the clause that related to the non-conformant is Malaysia Standard 1500-2019, Clause 4.2.11 that mention pests or pets are prohibited to enter the premise. So the root cause was come from people itself and also the equipment. So this conformant have to take correction immediately because it can affect the halal certificate itself. So the corrective action that they can take is workers should ensure that the door is always properly closed when entering the premises. Other than that, it is very recommended to replace the existing door with a self-closing door to ensure it remains properly closed all the time. So, the next non-conformance that I found during the audit is the floor was very dirty and also has a hole. So, the category for this non-conformance was minor, while the clause that related to the non-conformance are MPPHM Domestic 2020 Clause 17.8e, MPPHM Domestic 2020 Clause 17.10b, Nation Standard 1500-2019 4.2.3 and MS 1500-2019 Clause 4.2.5. So, on this clause from the MPPHM and also Nation Standard, they mention that the premise area should be in a good condition and always clean. For the MPPHM Domestic 2020 for Clause 17.8e, they mention that the floor, wall, fans, air conditioning, windows always be in a clean and a good condition to prevent any contamination from the environment. So the root cause for this non-conformant is people. So this correction have to taken immediately. So the corrective action that we can do is immediately repair the damaged and uneven floor to prevent any accident from occurring. And next, establish a cleaning checklist to ensure the floor area is clean after each production station. Okay, next, the non-conformance that I found is the storage area is in a very unclean and disorganized condition. As we can see on the picture, the place was very dirty and not organized properly. So the category of the non-conformance is minor, while the clause that related to the non-conformant is MPPHM Domestic 2020, Clause 17.4a, MPPHM Domestic 2020, Clause 17.4b, and also MPPHM Domestic 2020, Clause 17.4c. So the summary from this clause, they mention that the storage area only dedicated for halal products, raw material, and others material need to put away from the dedicated storage. So the root cause for the non-conformant is people. So this correction have to be taken immediately. So the corrective action that we can do is provide retrainings to workers to emphasize that personal belongings are not allowed to be placed in the production area. Other than that, we can also establish a cleaning schedule for the storage area and also provide lockers for workers to store their personal belongings. So from the picture, we can see that the dough mixing machine was found to be rusty and unclean condition. So the category of the non-conformant is major, and the clause that related to the non-conformant is MPPHM Domestic 2020 Clause 17.5d. Other than that, MPPHM Domestic 2020 Clause 17.5e and MS 1500-2019 Clause 4.3.5. So from this clause, I can say that all the machineries, tools, equipment, and processing aid always in a clean and good condition, and we have to implement a cleaning schedule and also do a maintenance regularly. So the root cause for this non-conformant is people. This non-conformant have to take correction immediately, and the corrective action that I suggest is clean the machine after use. And next, establish a regular cleaning and maintenance schedule to ensure that machines remains in a good condition. Okay, for the next non-conformance, I found that the damaged equipment was not segregated or disposed of. So the category of the non-conformant is minor, and the clause that related to the non-conformant is MPPHM Domestic 2020 Clause 17.5F that mention all the equipment that damaged or no longer used need to segregate from the production area, or we can dispose it. So the root cause for this non-conformant is people, and this non-conformant have to take correction immediately to dispose or segregate the damaged equipment. And the corrective action that we can do is any unused or damaged items shall be segregated from the processing area and dispose it properly. Okay. So the next picture show that the workers did not wear gloves while handling raw materials during the production. So the category of non-conformant is minor, and the clause that related to the non-conformant is MPPHM Domestic 2020 Clause 17.9E and also MPPHM Domestic 2020 Clause 17.9H. From this clause, it mentioned that every worker has to implement good hygiene practice. They must follow the good hygiene practice and also wear a complete PPE while handling raw material especially. So the root cause is people, and this non-conformant have to take action immediately. So the corrective action that we can do is conduct training for workers on proper ethics and handling procedures when managing raw material during production. Other than that, we can also provide complete personal protective equipment (PPE) for all workers, and also carry out random spot check during production activities to ensure the compliance with hygiene and also safety practices. Now we're at storage area, as you can see on the picture. So we found that the raw material was placed directly on the floor without any use of pallets. So the category of the non-conformant is minor, while the clause that related to the non-conformant is MPPHM Domestic 2020 Clause 17 4G that also mentioned the use of pallets. So the root cause is people, and this non-conformant have to take correction immediately. So the corrective action that we can do for a long term is provide suitable pallets for placing raw materials to prevent direct contact with the floor, and we also want to prevent from any pests. And other than that, we also can prepare a designated rack for storing raw materials and implement the FIFO or FIFO system. Okay, so for the next non-conformance that we found that the raw material doesn't have any label on the packaging. As you can see on the picture, there's no labeling on the packaging, so we don't know what's the products, who's the manufacturers, and others. So this category of non-conformant is minor, and clause related to the non-conformant is MPPHM Domestic 2020 Clause 17 1H that mention all the raw material need to have label that clearly and also can understand, and also state the name of manufacturer on the packaging. So the root cause is people, and this non-conformant has to take correction immediately. So the corrective action that we prefer is assign a trained personnel to verify all incoming raw materials and ensure labeling is done correctly. And also we can do a color-coded or standardized labeling system for easy identification of raw materials. As we can see on the picture that the flour was found placed under the processing table. So for this category of non-conformant is minor, and the clause that related to the non-conformant is MPPHM Domestic 2020 Clause 17 4P that mention raw material, finished good, products for R&D, reject item, and other materials and substances that are not food have to segregate and labeling properly. So the root cause is people. So this non-conformant has to take correction immediately, where we need to place the flour at the dedicated storage. So the corrective action that we can do for long term is conduct training for employees to reinforce proper storage practices, ensuring all raw materials are placed in their designated locations. Other than that, we also can establish dedicated racks for each raw material types and implement a clear tagging and color-coded system to improve material identification. So we can also implement FIFO or FIFO system to maintain the effectiveness and to prevent any expiry of the material. Okay, From the picture, we can see that the packaging materials were not stored in the designated packaging material storage area. So this non-conformance was minor, and the clause that related to is MPPHM Domestic 2020 Clause 17.4a that mention storage must dedicated only for raw material and halal products, including the trading products. So the root cause was people, and this non-conformance have to take correction immediately. So the corrective action that we can do is provide a designated area specifically for packaging materials only, and also prepare storage racks for packaging materials and arrange them in orderly manner. So, for the last non-conformance that I found at the dry storage area is the cloth used to wipe the table was found dirty. So, the category of the non-conformance is minor, while the clause that related to the non-conformance is MPPHM Domestic 2020 Clause 17.5d that mention all the equipments and tools always to be in a good conditions, clean and free from any notch. So, the root cause is people, and this correction has to be taken immediately. So the corrective action that we can do is use disposable wiping clothes as they are more practical and hygienic. Other than that, we can also clean the reusable clothes thoroughly after each use and also dispose of the clothes immediately if it is damaged or no longer suitable for use. Thank you for listening. That's all from me. Thank you.